Hi, I'm Mark Roskin. I'm one of the executive producers and directors on Leverage, and I directed the finale episode.
I'm Mark Franco. I'm the visual effects producer and supervisor on Leverage.
The first sequence we'll look at is when Hardison, played by Aldis Hodge, gets thrown into the pool. We shot this at the Governor Hotel, and I think one of the biggest obstacles of filming the sequences, it was a pool that had no
water in it.
No water.
Yeah.
It was a non-functioning pool, and our construction department and our production designer and art department made that whole pool area functioning, patching, painting, and then filling and heating the water and the hot tubs. Many people don't know, but that actually was Aldis falling into the pool. He was handcuffed to a chair, but we did have safety divers there and prop handcuffs that come off quite easily. We also had our cameramen down there as well as our assistant camerans. And I believe we probably had, at least 8 to 10 cameras rolling in this sequence?
Yeah. We have the safety people, we have the camera people, we actually even have lighting people all in the pool or around the pool, which is a lot of people to hide. So that does add a lot of complexity to that kind of shooting.
Yeah. Whenever you're shooting in or around water, it's difficult. And then when you throw in stunts and tying actors into stunts, it's even that much harder. And in the pace of television, you don't get many chances, so you got to make sure you can get in a couple takes, but you got to move on. If you look closely, you'll see a large man with red hair and flip-flops walking around the pool with a walkie-talkie, yelling a lot of the times. That is Paul Bernard. He was our line producer and also the first AD of this episode. And he's pretty much the one who's responsible for the well-being of the crew while shooting. So throwing in water stunts, electricity, and actors in a pool that we just turned over the night before, he was a little...
Yeah, he was at full plate that day.
Yes. The gunfight sequence was a challenging sequence, not only because there was so much action, but it was a part of the storyline that we've never touched before, with Eliot actually firing a gun. So there was the weight of that on our shoulders, but also, how do we shoot a gunfight in television where he takes out at least 25 to 30 guys,
Right.
And make it look as cool as possible?
We come from generally feature background, and something like that we'd probably spend a couple of weeks shooting, and we had 2 long days to do the whole thing.
We're fucked.
That just has so many layers. And again, there's a safety issue. And Christian, did all of his own stunts. So you had him doing the slide. You had him jumping from box to box, firing, firearms.
In water.
Gauntlet water. Death.
And we were also shooting at a paper factory.
Right.
Which, adds some safety.
Yeah, many of the things in the background were actually real, so if we blew them up, we actually had to pay for them later.
Nobody walks this way right now. Okay.
We basically made a map, and, we hit all the story points and actually just taped it all down. Here's where this part is going to happen, here's where he's going to dive, and then you adjust accordingly on the day. And I think we puked out the entire camera truck on this set.
Mm-hmm.
We had everything from GoPros to XDs to Red cameras. I mean, we had stunts with pyrotechnics. We had more firearms and rounds shot that day than we've done in an entire season in season 2.
Plus our effects crew was literally firing actual firearms that shoot little pellets and such that make dust and make different things happen, all at the same time. It was just a giant
circus. Kai
circus.
Shelton, our floor effects technician, with paper falling from the sky, the liquid shooting out of the canister, Eric Bates and his armor with all the gun and muzzle flash. And these scenes, are complicated enough, but when you use guns,
actual firearms,
with half loads, they always misfire.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something about this just doesn't add up.
We did one take where Christian ran and did the slide himself, and he almost made it all the way across. Numerous takes later, we had Kevin pulling him with just a device.
Manual pulleys,
Yeah.
actually. It was actually physically human beings dragging him along on his knees, as you said, which also is a tribute to Christian because he took a beating.
Yes,
I mean, we did, I don't know how many takes of that. Pretty big visual effects challenge. We have a relatively modest visual effects team, and there was a lot of shots. I think ultimately it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 80 shots. We did bullet tracers because there's a point when Christian goes into sort of slow-mo mode, and we kind of use a technique so that you can actually see and feel the web of bullets going through, so they try to make it look as menacing as possible. So there was a degree of animation difficulty there. We had to add a lot of muzzle flashes that were either guns misfiring, or it just wasn't exciting enough to add a little more sort of a frenzy and danger to the whole thing. A lot of wires to remove because the effect of Christian running along, sliding and shooting.
The barrel explosion.
Barrel explosion, which was a miniature.
Bitchin'.
Yeah. So in order to get a realistic explosion of the barrels in the sequence, what we did was we created scale, miniature barrels. Kind of took a barrel about like this and made it into a barrel about like this.
And it's almost like graphic novel, hyper real. So, you do see the guns go off, you do see guys taking impact, but we never felt like we had to show the blood. There's this thing called standards and practices, where they really won't let you have blood or nudity.
As a company,
that would have been kind of weird if everybody was naked in that scene.
Yeah, been different.
This was more about, Christian shooting the gun for the first time in 3 seasons. It was more about that journey for him as a warrior. It's a big sequence, and it took a lot of time, a lot of preparation, and I think the audience really enjoyed it.